And here we are with the final installment of the original Jurassic trilogy. Jurassic Park 3 is one that sits close to my heart. Rewatching it now, I can realize why. It's a fascinating movie. It takes us to Isla Sorna, otherwise known as Site B, which is what we saw in the previous film, The Lost World. It does a better job at giving the island some mystery to it, introducing us to brand new dinosaurs like the Spinosaurus and those scary-ass pteranodons. The exploration of the island is what really hooked me. I love adventure films, and this really fits into that genre. It also feels like a horror, similar to the first. However, this time it's a scarily smart Spinosaurus that stalks them throughout. It's really eerie. The film brings back Sam Neill as Dr. Alan Grant, which was genuinely fun to see. Unfortunately, the circumstances that do bring him back to a dinosaur-populated island does feel quite contrived. The movie did receive backlash when released for the overuse of action and not enough heart or wonder, and while I can definitely see that, it's still a fun ride. At just 92 minutes, Jurassic Park 3 is significantly shorter than both previous films. The runtime keeps the action moving, but considering the plot to this movie, there really isn't a need to make it lengthy. No longer directed by Spielberg, Joe Johnston takes the reins, most notable for movies like Captain America: The First Avenger and The Rocketeer. His goal was to create a similar film to The Lost World, but better, including characters that aren't specialized in the field, and placing them on the island, giving the film more tension. And yes, while that does work, the film's biggest problem was the writing. The script is where the film really starts to fall, and you can see it throughout the movie. It's dry and lacks the intrigue of the previous films. The production even started without the script. They went through a couple of variations and eventually asked David Coep, the former screenplay writer, to return. He gave them a few ideas, but he never actually put pen to paper. The final revised script was completed by 3 people: Peter Butchman, Alexander Payne, and Jim Taylor. With a budget of $93 million, the film grossed about $368 million worldwide. Profitable, but significantly less than the others, halting any sequels from being made until 14 years later, when they revived the franchise with Jurassic World. The visual effects in Jurassic Park 3 are actually insane. Stan Winston's team continues to captivate us with their animatronics. One amazing example is in the last act, where they set the water ablaze and you can see the light of the fire glisten onto the Spino's skin. I found a really interesting fact about their animatronic Spinosaurus and how they won a world record for it being the largest and heaviest animatronic ever built for a film at that time, weighing over 25,000 pounds, 12.5 tons. It's incredible. The CGI is also outstanding. Some scenes of the Spinosaurus are a bit shaky, but the design is surreal. Same goes for the Velociraptors, as we get some new designs for them, with some including feathers and new colour patterns. The film introduces the Spinosaurus as the new big bad, replacing the iconic T-Rex. This was pretty controversial when the movie released. Some people didn't like the fact that it could easily kill the T-Rex, although there are hints to the Spino being a hybrid of some sort, as Billy implies that he didn't see the species on InGen's list. Grant replies with, "It makes you wonder what they were really doing here." Another sequence I really enjoyed was the pteranodons in the aviary. It's something the franchise hasn't touched on by this point, and is very memorable. Especially the scene where the pteranodon walks out of the mist on the bridge. Man, that scene was intense. Sam Neill returns as Dr. Alan Grant, but his character feels oddly regressed. After his character development in the first film, he's back to being quite awkward around kids. Neill does steal the show with his stoic personality, and it does help build the suspense. Although, if I were him, I probably wouldn't be so calm about the Kirkbys kidnapping him onto the island. William H. Macy and Taya Leone play the Kirkby couple, who trick Grant into returning onto the island. While both are talented actors, their characters are stupidly irritating. Given they're on an island populated by dinosaurs, they seem to have little to no survival instincts. I feel the movie could have had a more meaningful ending if the Kirkbys died, leaving just Grant and Eric to escape. Harkening back to his time on Isla Nublar with Lex and Tim. Is that too dark of an ending for a Jurassic movie? I can never tell. Alexandra Nivola's Billy Brannan Grant's assistant is perhaps the most interesting new addition, though his character arc does feel quite rushed. I wish we got to know him a little bit more. The twist that he's still alive at the end just shows you how cobbled together the script had become. Trevor Morgan plays Eric Kirby, the kid who's stranded on the island. Unlike the children in previous films who felt integral to the story, Eric feels more like a plot device. But honestly, he's badass. Managing to stay alive on the island for 8 weeks, it's longer than I'd last, that's for sure. Jurassic Park 3 was a cash grab, if we're being totally honest here, but so are the 4 sequels after this one. It's clear to see in its half-assed writing and production. However, it has some incredible highlights, and it was a fun way to end the trilogy, even if there was no overarching plot or, well, anything to consist of having a trilogy. Although saying that, I love the Jurassic universe, and I'd still see whatever slop they bring out next. Anyway, this film feels like it's checking boxes rather than telling a compelling story. Bigger dinosaur, check. Returning character, check. Kid in danger, check. What's missing is the heart and that awe that defined Jurassic Park. Yes, we got it for a second when they were on the riverboat, but it felt more like it was just there because it had to be, if you know what I mean. All in all, Jurassic Park 3 is ultimately the weakest link in the original trilogy. It's definitely not unwatchable, just not as good as it could have been.